Assemblymember Steck.
Thanks, Chairman. I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity. Both Mr. Bartholomew and Mr. Sire, constituents of mine. Lake George resides in my assembly district, and I just want to highlight, first, I agree with both of them, and I'd like to take this opportunity to point out it's not often that you have economic developers sitting literally elbow to elbow with environmental leaders, and they are in lockstep on this and many other issues. And I think that I want to point out to my colleagues that this is an indicator of how things are in Warren County on this issue, that this is an issue that everyone across the entire spectrum recognizes a crisis. And I'm glad that Mr. Bartholomew pointed out Lake George Village's 85-year-old septic sewer system is under consent order, and 1,000 people, and they are not all summer homeowners that are up from the Hamptons. This is a challenge for any community, and so I'd like to thank them for making the trip today. It's not a very long one, but I want to highlight their efforts and congratulate them on their efforts for my colleagues, and thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I am Eric Sy, Executive Director of the Fund for Lake George. And I first want to thank you for this opportunity to testify on an urgent economic and environmental priority, the need for state funding to replace the wastewater treatment plant at Lake George Village, as so ordered by state regulators. The fund, for those of you who don't know, is a science-based advocacy organization founded in 1980. We apply scientific research to guide the enduring protection of Lake George, the queen of American lakes. And we do so in close partnership with diverse constituencies, most notably local officials and business leaders, one of whom is sitting by my side, Ed Bartholomew, president of the Warren County EDC, and a founding member of the council's, the Fund's Council of Business Advisors. We're here together to underscore the fact that as goes the health of Lake George, so too goes the regional economy. They go hand in hand. Today, there is no single action more important to the environment and economy of Lake George than replacing the village wastewater treatment plant. Scientific research reveals this. State regulators require this. And it was a 17-month study conducted by the Fund's Waterkeeper program that made the irrefutable case for plant replacement. The study definitively connected plant effluent to the fourth largest stream entering Lake George, Westbrook, and it documented high levels of contaminants, nitrates, and chloride entering the lake, hundreds of tons since the 1970s. The State Department of Environmental Conservation issued an order of consent in 2014 stipulating that a new treatment plant must be completed by the fall of 2021. With state funding now, this timeline is still within reach. And I want to point out increasing nutrients flowing into the lake, including the many tons of nitrates from the treatment plant, feed algae growth, and the potential for harmful algal blooms, HABs as they're known, and we've all heard about them. HABs are toxic to humans, they're death to tourism when the water turns from clear and clean to pea soup green. Lake George is one of 12 lakes in the state's harmful algal bloom initiative launched in 2017, the only one that has yet to suffer a toxic outbreak, I might add. High priority projects in the HABs action plan for Lake George include replacement of the village treatment plant. Unlike the 11 other HABs lakes, we still have the opportunity. We're in a position of preventing a toxic bloom in Lake George if we act now. And I want to bring up quickly another HAB lake, Skinny Atlas, which is considered a sister lake to Lake George. Clean and clear, popular tourism destination, public drinking water supply, including for the city of Syracuse. Yet in 2017, to the horror of residents, officials, and businesses at Lake Skinny Atlas suffered its first toxic bloom. Others have since followed. So what happened? They reached a tipping point, one that Lake George can still avoid by acting today. State funding now for the Lake George treatment plant is an investment in one of the nation's natural crown jewels. that will deliver returns for every generation to come. I want to thank you again for this important opportunity and for your leadership at this pivotal time for our Great Lake. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ed Bartholomew, President and CEO of the Warren County Economic Development Corporation. Warren County and this region of the Adirondacks has a natural asset at the core, and that is Lake George, formed by ice glaciers a few years ago, 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. The lake is 32 miles long and once was described in 1791 by Thomas Jefferson as the lake without comparison, the most beautiful water I've ever saw. Imagine, if you will, if natural assets in particular regions, Central Park, no Central Park for New York City, no falls for Niagara, the waterfalls in Ithaca or Rochester in the area, the Erie Canal, if you will. EDC believes that this potential situation in Lake George is rapidly deteriorating, and if we don't have a unified force and plan at work. Lake George, I'm speaking on the economic impact on the region. The region is consisting of 6 counties in the area, anchored by the county of Warren, which is just about an hour. Many of you, I'm sure, or your relatives have visited beautiful Lake George in your lifetime. Statistics indicate that tourism spends $1.4 billion in the Adirondacks, supporting over 21,000 jobs. Warren County represents 42% of this income, $603 million in direct spending, with over 9,000 people employed in our area. Additionally, there is $42 million in local taxes, $33 million in state taxes in Warren County from this revenues of tourism, and $298 million in labor income, Warren County, including indirect and direct cost. Those counties, just for references, besides Warren, includes Clinton, Plattsburgh area, Essex, Franklin, Hamilton, and Lewis. EDC is pleased to fully support the Village of Lake George's construction of a new wastewater treatment plant at a cost of $22 million. Lake George Village has a year-round population of 1,000, and in the summer and the fall, 50,000 people are just within the village of Lake George. Unless we undertake this badly deteriorating facility now, alternatively, as Eric has quite pointed out, the effluent will continue to leach its way into the Lake George area, causing extensive damage environmentally to the lake. So at this point, I'd like to just close with a statement that failure to address this significant environmental concern collectively from the county, from the village, from the county of Warren and others, and the state of New York, failure to address this significant environmental concern will result, in my opinion, a devastating environmental and economic calamity for the Adirondacks and Warren County. Your consideration is greatly appreciated, and thank you once again for this opportunity, putting us together with Eric.
Thank you.